Nothing like advancing the second round of the NIT.
Oh, your rookie of the year. Didn't he lead them to the NIT? Oh, because he didn't make the NCAA. Ben Simmons, right?
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
okay. No problem. That was 2 years ago?
That was a few
Okay,
years
no
ago,
problem.
CC.
Just facts. Big facts.
Wizards, Celtics, Jason Tatum with the effort. Celtics lost this one in double overtime last night.
It's a bad loss last night.
That's a tough loss.
You know what? I disagree with you because they were so shorthanded.
What about being up by 20 points?
I understand, but you...
What about one free throw to win the game?
Okay, that part's a fair point.
Oh.
But going into the game, I thought Washington was going to... Okay, given the circumstances of the game, bad loss. Going into the game,
That would have been a great win. Shorthanded, up by 20?
Hold on, look at this. Lonzo Ball beating the buzzer at halftime of the Warriors game.
The key here is Lonzo's the inbounder. There's only a couple seconds left. He gives the full effort getting up the court just for that possibility. That was to tie the game at the half.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Lonzo's the guy inbounding the ball. I mean, there's only 2.5 seconds left. Boom, go get it. Or 4.5 seconds left, pardon me.
Hey,
It's a great play by
Lonzo's been
Lonzo.
pretty good the last couple of days.
Well, let me tell you how last night, if he don't make that one, he's 2 of 10.
Yeah. No.
I meant in making our butt first.
Yes,
You didn't
absolutely.
let me finish the sentence.
Absolutely. His three-point shot has gone away
my
from him.
New topic
It
for all the
goes bye-bye.
Patriots fans that are up early watching. NFL and the head-scratcher that is the New England Patriots on a free agent day when most of the NFL's elite teams added pieces. The Patriots added no pieces. However, they did lose their starting left tackle in Nate Solder. Their one-time starting corner in Malcolm Butler. One of Brady's go-to guys in Danny Amendola. And their leading rusher in Dion Lewis. All right, Nick, I'll start with you. Which of the Patriots' losses do you think of those I mentioned is most significant?
Well, I can discount almost immediately Dion Lewis and Danny Amendola. Not because those aren't good players, but I have seen the Patriots repeatedly and continually at those positions, wide receiver and running back, interchange guys. New guy, Wes Welker's amazing, and then we find Danny Amendola. Like Dion Lewis, we've seen James White do it, who's, by the way, still on the team. But we've seen guys in years past. So those two I can discount to start with.
And they kept Burkhead.
They gave him more money.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
signed him to an extension. So those positions I'm not concerned about. The left tackle one is very interesting to me. There has been one position on the Patriots, other than quarterback, that has had the least overhaul since Tom Brady's been there, and that is left tackle. Going into a season, there have only been 2 people that have been starting left tackles for the New England Patriots with Tom Brady as the quarterback. Matt Light for a decade, Nate Solder since then. Now, there have been a few other guys step in. Marcus Cannon did it for half a season due to injury. But as far as this is our left tackle, Matt Light to Nate Solder. Obviously, Tom Brady is not the most mobile quarterback in the world, and we have seen Tom Brady go above and beyond to try to avoid contact, especially in this phase of his career. Losing his left tackle, losing the left tackle that the Pats, I don't think they wanted to lose him.
I don't think they even thought they were going to lose him. I didn't think they the Giants would give him that much money.
Well, I don't. They were not. The Giants needed a left tackle, and they paid a premium, the sticker price, and then some for Nate Solder. And Bill Belichick has a philosophy, which is no matter how much he likes a player, he sets what he believes that dollar value is, and he's not going to exceed it. So I understand that from a cap management standpoint, but I would expect them to be worse at left tackle next year unless they hit on their first-round pick, which tough position to play as a rookie anyway, especially if you're being drafted at 31. To me, that's the biggest loss, the left tackle, Nate Solder.
And there's not a lot of good tackles in the draft. There's not a can't-miss prospect as far as tackles are concerned. What if we add another name to that list? You said Amendola, Dion Lewis, all those Solder. What if Gronk retires? All right? If Gronk decides to quit, then the Solder moving to the Giants is even bigger than what it is now. The New England Patriots, they're one of the few teams that they almost always don't help their left tackle. Their tight ends, they throw to their tight ends a lot. So when you don't have your tight end next to your tackle, you're putting that guy in space. And they have thrived in this. You mentioned Light, they mentioned Solder. So they've been able to one block or man on the backside. And now because if Gronk leaves, oh, my God, you're talking about their 2 best, outside of Tom Brady, these are their 2 best offensive players. Tom Brady's their best, then Gronk, and then the left tackle. Those are the best players that we've seen. And go ahead, Nick.
No, you bringing up the possibility of Gronk leaving is interesting to me, because that's something that early on I know you said, listen, guys that good, that skilled, that age, don't walk away from that type of money. But there have been, since we last talked about it, more trickling news reports, more tea leaves from Gronk himself, and it seems like you are more open to the at least possibility that maybe Gronk isn't going to be there next year. That piqued my interest.
Right. It's hard to play this game in talking about quitting, because the amount that you have to commit to what you're doing. We saw one of the greats yesterday decide to retire, Joe Thomas. Listen, people talking about, wow, man, what happened? He got knocked out of the game. He cannot get up and condition himself to be able to do, and his body, he said it, would not allow him to play at a high level. So left tackle, to me, is the most, that's the most significant thing with New England, not just because of who it is, but also he's the only one that they drafted. He's the only one that they believed in into a second contract. Now, Bill Belichick, he hadn't done, you can criticize him as far as the draft, but I don't believe that you can replace this type of Patriot intel, the Patriot way, in veteran players. So I believe that Solder to left tackle is significant. But those other veteran players and what they know about New England, I believe is just as significant as Solder to left tackle.
And yet, meanwhile, they could do all this, which is nothing theoretically. Let all these guys go because, as you said, it is sort of the Patriots way. And these like Super Bowl, predictions come out, and they're still the favorite to win next year.
Because people make their bets.
They can't be the favorite.
They are right now. They're the Vegas favorite. But
okay, I'm going to teach y'all something about Vegas eventually. All right? Like, they can't be. There's no way you can look at them on paper and say they're better than several teams in there.
Correct.
You think they're better than Jacksonville?
What? No.
No. This is just what the country thinks. This is just what people.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is listen, people make their bets based on three things: quarterback, coach, history. Like, that's why. And
that's why Vegas is thriving.
Right. And so when you say Jacksonville's the perfect team to bring up, because Jacksonville's Super Bowl odds will always be a good value because nobody believes in the quarterback, nobody cares who the coach is, and they have no history. So teams like the Packers' Super Bowl odds are always inflated. Why? Because people like Green Bay's always good and they have Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Similar with the Patriots. I want to say one thing, though, about a player we have glossed over, and Malcolm Butler. And the reason I think we've glossed over him is after the Super Bowl, everyone knew Malcolm Butler is leaving. That doesn't mean they got a plan to replace him. Since the Patriots drafted Devin McCourty in 2010, they have spent 11 draft picks on defensive backs. None of those have panned out into players. Now, one of them was drafted year before last. I'm not throwing him out yet, Cyrus Jones. We'll see what happens with him, but he's a young player. He has not yet lived up to his second-round pick status, but he's got time. They have spent so many resources in the draft on trying to get the cornerback position right, yet who were their starting cornerbacks last year? Stephon Gilmore, who they had to pay a king's ransom for, and Malcolm Butler, who was an undrafted free agent. Right now, Jonathan Batamosi and Eric Rowe are tops on their depth chart behind Stephon Gilmore. Like, that is a position. We saw the Pats with Malcolm Butler give up huge plays all year long. Your stat about plays of 30 yards or more and how they were near the tops of the league and giving that up. We saw them in the Super Bowl without Malcolm Butler.
Right. Totally
unable to stop Nick Foles. So I think that's a big loss, just not as significant as Nate Solder's loss.
We have Eric Mangini coming up, and we're going to talk about what this means for the Patriots and if this changes really the course that they're going to take come next season. We're going to take a break. Coming up, hey, how high is Baker Mayfield's stock after his impressive pro day? That's next on First Things First.
I don't know. He's wearing a headband. I see some scouts grading him down for that.
It's a day that ends in Y.
Nike, man. They got to get their bread, man. He's a Nike kid.